Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'll be doing a sneak peek of the new hero class Morroc in Ragnarok Mobile. You may have seen his mighty demon statue, and he looks like it, but then he becomes a small boy after, which is a bit weird. My first impressions of him is he's a magic DPS class who does dark damage. He seems powerful for PvP, but can also do okay for PvE. I definitely choose him over an Arcane Master or Chronomancer for PvE, which is good. Here he is taking down the Golem. Since he does great damage over time, he's great for taking down legend bosses. I was also worried about him being stuck to dark, but it actually did better than I expected. Next, Morroc is the hero class for Arcane Master, and he can be unlocked with the Job Change voucher, so he can be purchased without BCC. Next, looking at the beta server's recommended gear is definitely magic DPS gear, but since he uses dark, we use a lot of generic magic damaging gear instead. In this video, I'll focus more on my analysis of this class, so thanks to Cremisi and Bacon for getting the translations out quickly. I'll put a link in the description to their sheet. It contains more detailed information that I won't be covering, so be sure to check it out. First is his core hero skill, Dark Lord. Some of Morroc's skills apply a stack of Demon King's Rage to enemies, lasts 10 seconds. When the stack reaches to 6 or when the duration expires, it will explode, dealing a magic attack that deals dark damage, true damage equal to 666% times magic attack. If the target is a monster, the damage is converted to dark elemental magic damage, and for every int Morroc has, the damage is increased by 6%. Funny that it is 666%, that actually made me chuckle a bit as an Easter egg from the devs. Next to level 4, when the Demon King's Rage deals damage, the target's damage to Demon Race and Demon Race reduction is reduced by -25% and lasts for 5 seconds. You do get to transform into a demon, so this comes in handy for dealing more damage. Next for level 7, when Demon King's Rage explodes, additional damage is dealt according to the target's number of abnormal statuses, dealing number of crowd control times number of crowd control times 5%. The negative effects of Demon King's Array, Demon King's Reflection, and Disorder Shackles each count as one abnormal status stack. If the target is a monster, Demon King's Rage accumulates 3 stacks each time. Level 7 is vital for playing this class as your damage will greatly scale off crowd control afflictions. Next is Night Storm, an active skill. Deals magic attack times 2360% dark elemental damage to all enemies in the target area of radius 3 meters every second, applying 1 stack of Demon's King Rage, lasts 5 seconds. When dealing damage, there is a 20% chance to cause enemies to fall into darkness state. Damage to enemies under darkness status is increased by 50%. This is his primary DPS skill. I'm happy it is AoE and it casts fairly quickly. It is also great that it can put enemies into darkness state, and the damage to enemies in darkness state is increased by 50%, which is fantastic. Next is the Nightstorm Star Rune. This is another rune where you need to reroll for a high first line and a second line to get good damage. Next is Chaotic Shackles, an active skill. Chains are put on an enemy. The further apart they are, the stronger the effect, up to a maximum of 100%. If the distance exceeds 12 meters, the chain will break. For every second the enemy is chained, 1 stack of Demon King's Rage is applied, and the chain lasts for 30 seconds. The more Demon King's Rage the better, so chaining a target and staying close is great, especially good for building up the explosion damage from the core hero skill. Next is Doomsday, an active skill. Every time Demon King's Rage explodes, Morroc gains 1 stack of Chaos Source. Each stack provides dark damage 1% up to a maximum of 30 stacks and lasts for 15 seconds. For active use, it consumes all Chaos Sources. Every 0.2 seconds deal magic attack percentage times 2400% dark elemental magic damage to the target and apply 1 stack of Demon's King Rage. The damage dealt is equal to the number of Chaos Sources stacks used, and if the target dies, returns half of the consumed Chaos Source. If the target is a monster, Chaos Source is not consumed. This is great damage, but it does take some setup, as you need Chaos Source. This is good to put on a boss. Here I had Chaos Source, and you can see the claw above my head with a counter, and once it runs out I cannot use Doomsday. So I use the chain to get Chaos Source again. Now I cast Doomsday, and here we go. It's not nuking damage, but it's better than nothing. Next is a Doomsday End Rune. This is a rune that will further increase its effect when you transform into a demon, which is great. Next is Two-Faced Demon King. It is a passive skill. You can choose between two faces to switch between. In Demon Morroc form, both faces are active. For the first option, you're a human. When attacked, you're considered as Demon Race, providing increased to demi-human damage 30%. And then the second one is Demon. When attacking, you're considered as Demon Race, providing increased to demi-human damage reduction 30%. The first one lets you do more damage to demi-humans. This could also be a great combo with the Fire Irisleed Relic in PvE. The second one is more defensive, and that's the one I have selected here. Next is Eternal Dark Shield, a passive skill. Dark elemental damage taken is converted to 100%, one layer of shield that absorbs damage from non-dark elements. If Eternal Dark Shield completely blocks a certain damage, you become immune to any negative effects associated with that damage. The shield can stack and last for 30 seconds. This is great if you make the enemy convert their attack to dark, and when using the skill Shrouded Knight, you force targets to convert their attack to dark. It's similar to what Thor does for making enemies convert to wind to attack him, and also makes him a pretty good orb holder in PvP. Next is Demon King's Army, an active skill. Generate an aura around yourself and lasts 120 seconds. You and your teammate within the range gains 25% magic damage increase and 25% increased HP loss effect. When an enemy inside the aura casts a skill, they receive magic attack times 1280%, dark elemental magic damage, and 1 stack of Demon's King Rage. At most, this triggers once per second and does not affect monsters. This is a skill that you need to cast before a battle. It's too bad the enemies receiving dark attack for casting inside the aura doesn't affect monsters. This would be a nice additional source of damage for PvE. Next, you get the Demon King's Array Star Ruin, and the Ruin reduces the enemy crit control resist, which is great for PvP. Next is Shrouded Knight, an active skill. All teammates within the target area of 9 meters receives an increase for dark damage reduction 50%. At the same time, enemies within the area have their attack force converted to dark element, and this lasts for 30 seconds. This gives great survivability and has some community members theory crafting on how good he'd be as an orb holder. Here I cast Shrouded Knight for some more survivability against Kayn. Next you have the Eternal Shrouded Knight Star Ruin, and for this ruin it's interesting that it boosts allies' dark convert coefficient. There aren't that many classes that do crazy high dark damage, so we'll see how useful this will be. Auto attack Rune Master is probably on my list of allies that could also do a lot of dark damage. Next is Demon King's Descends, an active skill. You transform into Demon Morroc, increasing final damage reduction by 30% and lasts for 30 seconds. While transformed, gain the following effects. Demon King's Array and Shrouded Knight will continuously cast around Demon Morroc, increasing the radius to 12 meters. Night Storm changes to a target skill and the damage interval is reduced to 0.5 seconds and will move along with the target. Next, Chaotic Shackles will apply the chains to all enemies within a 12 meter radius around yourself, and upon transformation dispel all debuffs and restore all your health. The cooldown is fixed and cannot be reduced. This is a crazy buff for him. 30 seconds is quite a while too, but there is a 75-second cooldown. He hits super hard in this mode. You can see me transforming here, dealing a ton of damage. Next you have Demon King Descends Ruin. You can have up to 5 seconds of invincibility, which is great for survivability. Next is King's Protection, a passive skill. When Demon King Descends is not on cooldown, avoid death once and immediately use Demon King's Descends. This skill can be toggled on or off. This is a great anti-death tool. Here I have it toggled on. Here in Oracle I die to the mobs, but luckily I can transform into the Demon Morroc automatically and then I can get them back. Next is Demon King's Will, a passive skill. For every Vit point, gain an additional 10 magic attack. For every 20 Vit points, gain an additional 1% magic damage reduction. This bonus is doubled when Morroc's HP is above 70%. It is great that giving more Vit gives more damage, so he can be super tanky. He also has some great magic damage reductions as well. Next is Demon King's Gift. It is a passive skill. During the duration of Demon's King Rage, every second have a 20% chance to randomly apply any of the following statuses: Darkness, Curse, Silence, or Fear. The duration is fixed at 2 seconds and is unaffected by resistances. For each stack of Demon King's Rage on the target, the chance of applying the status is increased by 10%. This is a nice way to inflict 4 statuses on the target. It's great for PvP or mobs in PvE. Next is Demon King's Reflection, an active skill. Awaken the demon reflection of enemies in the target area to attack them. The reflections inherit Morroc's attributes, attacking every 2 seconds, dealing magic attack times 1600% dark element damage, and applying 1 stack of Demon King's Rage and dispelling 1 buff effect from the target and lasts for 5 attacks. This is a great extra source of damage, although I wish the duration was a bit longer. Here I wipe out some harpies with it. You also have the King's Reflect Ruin. The Ruin further inherits buffs from the target, but unfortunately doesn't work against monsters. Next is weapon. It is called World Destruction Staff. It is a great way to get dark damage as there aren't a ton of cards that support it. For tiers, there's some good stuff here. For tier 5, using Shackles greatly increases your damage. Unfortunately, another trend of adding tier 5 Refine 15 has come up, similar to Liu Maoxing. Your Night Storm is reduced by 0.5 seconds, which is huge, so sadly you'll need to refine to 15 if you want to spam it like crazy. Next, to make his weapon, here are the materials. Unfortunately, Chronos is required again. Here are the materials to craft the base weapon. Next, here are some gears that can be used. His weapons, offhand, armor, garment, footgear, and accessories. Next, for Aesir Monument, notable ones include the 20% increase in dark damage, 12% HP, 10% magic penetration, and 10% ignore magic defense. I hope you enjoyed this sneak peek. I'll cover how Morroc is in PvE in a future video and my honest review, so stay tuned. So far, I am surprised that I could solo Legend Isles 1-3. I wasn't expecting a magic class stuck to dark to do so well. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I recommend, and if you want more sneak peeks, check out this playlist over here.